Okay, welcome back. Video number 3 here, where we're going to do some weaving of some petals. Haven't even cleaned my hands yet. It's perfect for this type of casual painting, and I'm really getting kind of casual here. What I want to do is I want to show you, because as we're going through the book, some of the flowers get a little bit more complicated, and I want to show you one of the techniques that I feel is very important for you as a painter, and that's being able to weave some petals. But we can do it kind of easy if we do what I call divide and conquer it. This is, as we get into Banks Rose and stuff, we get some of these petals here, you're going to get flowers that are going to begin to get a little bit more complicated, a little bit more stuff going on into the painting. And so we want to be able to weave the petals. And what I mean by weaving the petals is you have all these petals going in. How does the artist go about doing that? Well, there's some very easy ways to do that. First, what I have here is just a small canvas board, and I put just a little bit of wet base coat color onto here. And then let's just say I'm going to put some, we'll do maybe a reddish, kind of whitey reddy pink flower here, something like that. We'll just take some of our greens, and we'll model into this area where we would have leaves and stuff like that. I like to do that. I like to have that going in through here because that helps give the look of transparency. So you'll see in the lesson here, like where I want this kind of transparency down in through here like that. You only get that by carrying some of these colors, by carrying some of your background colors and getting casual and carrying them into the rest of the painting. And so it starts right now with you starting to lighten up your technique, starting to keep, don't worry about being perfect. So many of my students that have come in, especially from the craft side of painting, they want to be everything absolutely perfect and stay in the lines, and you don't want to do that when you're a casual painter. You want to give soft exchanges and blurry edges and lost edges and found edges. So we want to be a little bit more casual, okay? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to come in and I'll grab some of my color down. Let's grab some brown and let's grab some red violet down here. Model those together a bit. Don't stroke them, just model them together. I'll come in here and let's just say I'm going to paint my rose, and I'll wiggle this around. You see I move my brush and wiggle my brush. I sketch with it. I sketch with my brush in different, and sometimes I hold my brush like this too, where I sketch with the brush like this. And I do this in some of the other paintings, some of the Paint It Simply ones, some of the other books and stuff. I do this, and I'll build my color, build my shadow color. I want to get a nice, cool, reddy violet right down in here into the center here, deep color down through here. Then we'll come down, and we know we're going to have the bowl of our rose down into this area. The bowl will be here. Maybe the outside petals will come out here like this. So we're kind of shaping up a rose. Now the rose is a circle, okay? And we've learned this in our other books. We have, hopefully you have Painting Impressions Volume 2, which I go quite a bit into how to see a rose, how to paint a rose, okay? And I do that in Summer Roses also. But we'll get quite casual down through here. I'm going to make this more of a shadow side down through here. So we'll get some good shadow movement in here. And you can see I can use my finger here to draw and push like I showed you earlier. To push the color around, to soften the color around. If I want to make this whole painting of the rose a little softer, I'll just work my finger in and through. The finger is better than the brush. The little brush here paints detail, and your finger's like a big soft blender here, okay? So it softens that out a bit. But I want to have a little more of a red violet right down in here in this area. So I'll paint one that has a little more contrast to it here, down in here, and around. Let it just hit that. So we'll have a shadow side down over here like that. And I think what I'll do is step in the camera just a bit. Okay, so now what I do is I have that, and I decide, okay, how much more contrast do I want? And I do want to drag in some of these greens in here. And how much more contrast do I want? Some more dark in there. Sometimes I will go right into, and we can do it later. You'll see many steps where I say restate the color. Now that's a term that comes from alla prima painting and au premier coup painting. It means to do it again. Restate, to do it again. Restate the colors restate my shadows. I can do that later, or you can just say, okay, I want to have a little bit more. Maybe I'm just going to model in a little bit of my red, violet, and black just to deepen that flower a bit more. And let's just add just a bit more of that right in here. And notice how I paint. I paint in all directions, very casual like this, okay? And that's hard. That's hard. That's hard to let yourself go like that. I know. Thousands of roses I've done like this over, I did last year 450 paintings last year, painting almost every single day. And some days I did 6 paintings in a day, but the painting simply allows you to paint fast like that. So you got to do it like that, and you become better by the repetition of more paintings, not by taking one painting and painting it for 2 weeks practicing. That won't do it. It's the repetition of the technique. It's to do it. That's what's going to make you better. Okay. Now, let's come back down here. This is my cool, so this is going to be my warm, my naphtha red light. I could have a little orange out here. This is my warmer colors. I sometimes will model in just a little bit of the red violet so I don't go too fast with that. Just model those colors in. And let's just add a little bit of that into these colors. So I pull that across, and then I'm just going to incorporate this down just so I get a little red into my flower here. Just going to incorporate it down. We'll incorporate a little bit of that into the back here. Okay. Maybe a little bit out here as well into some of what will be my reaching petals. Okay. Here, just like that. So I'll have those coming out. Take those out here like this. And get this movement. Get this in and out movement. So sometimes with the petal, what I'll do is I'll go in and out like this. In and out, and see what this in and out, it's almost like a fan going around here. And what have I done with that in and out movement? See how I've created this movement here for the flower. Now, you don't want too much of that, but that's basically the movement that you're gonna want to show, in your flower. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I want this not like a real pinky road. I want a little bit on the red violet side too. So I'm not going to do a big open ones like that Banks rose, but we'll do a kind of a closed up, but some of the colors of the Banks. So now I'm going to take and I'm going to model in some of my light color. I'm just going to model my brush. Now sometimes I will start, if it's nice and light like this, I will start drawing the petals right directly from this color. Sometimes I will push in and grab a little edge, and you'll see that through the instructions. So sometimes I'll say edge it. Some flowers I won't. It all depends on the colors that I have on it. I'm just going to strike across here like this. And that's going to set up the shape of my rose. Now, the rose is really just a circle here. So the shapes that I put on here, I have to pull in here to kind of cut that circle. Inside here are your smallest petals. These are like your juveniles, the medium-sized petals. Out here are your larger petals. So we got to make sure that when we strike, we strike with the size of the flower in mind, the petal area in mind here. I'm just going to pull down. Now, one of the things that's most important before you start to go too much to the light is that you want to build the front of this flower up so it starts to come at you. So you're going to take some color, tap through so it's modeled so you don't get a solid one color that's modeled, and start to build and build and build this flower. You would do this on an apple, right? You do this on an apple to build it forward, and we want to do the same thing. You'd put the highlight, if this was an apple, right up here in the front. So we want to build this part of the flower coming forward here. With a lot, we can build this part of before we even start to draw petals, we can build this. And this is what is one of the most important parts about painting a flower or painting a dimensional flower, is that you build it like this so that when you start to draw all these petals and weave all the petals, the light color is already underneath there. Okay? So you want to take some time and build your flower up and push this around. Make sure you can, remember how I say sometimes you can lift off your shadow. Okay? You can push that around so you don't lose your shadow. But we want to build this up here. Here like this. Sometimes lift off like that. Okay? Around. So it's one of the most important parts about is you've got to build the dimension to the flower before you start to petal it. Okay? And maybe I want to have a little bit more. Let's get back into some of my And you can come back and restate, come back in and grab some of my red violets and stuff back in here. Let's just restate some of my shadow back in here again. Maybe this edge, I want to have this a little bit more here. So I want to get a little more red violet down in there. And a little bit through this center a bit more here. And let's not lose all my shadow here on the bowl, so I'll grab just a little bit there, just like that. And warm it. Sometimes you'll see me say grab other colors, oranges, yellows, or something. Let's just slide over to a little orange right here. And so if this is going to be my shadow side, maybe I warm up, and you can see that really warms up this other side of this rose here quite a bit. Boom. Just bang, here's the warm color coming in on this. So I'm going to have the lighter warm side, the cooler side developing here. Now, as I start to petal it, I can take some of that orange, some of my pink, model this into my brush, my base color here. Now, this is more like my base color of my rose right here now. And you can even slide over here and say, okay, here's my red violets, here's my base color here. I love to go red, violet, orange. I've been doing that a lot this last year, and I just love that. It gives a nice movement. And I use this more as the accent color for it right there. So I go cool color, warm color, accent color here. So I model that on, and then I'm going to grab a little bit here of my light, and I can start to edge a little bit into that. Just pick up a little bit of that edge. And this is what I'll use to kind of draw in that front petals again here of this. Wipe my brush, maybe just tap into a little more lighter color here. And we can pull down here and just give the edge now that I want to give to this petal. Strike it across, pull down. So I'm looking now at the edge more than anything else of this flower. We'll pull that down. I can put petals on the inside. Now you can stroke them around. Let's grab a little accent color here and you can stroke some of them around, just broken up like this. You know, sometimes you'll see me fold the centers over, fold the petal over like this, which causes it to turn. In other words, this is a petal that's closing right here like this. This one's closing here. So I edge it and just pull down. And then if you stroke it back like this, the petal's more open. It's opened up. So you can put both inside the center there. Grab a little accent color here. Lift off the shadow a little bit if you take off too much. Here. Let's just make this one side here kind of collapse down a bit. That's a bit light, so I don't worry about it. What I do is I just drop into some of my dark color right here and just incorporate it right out. And I'll push it in and just pull a little color there. You can push a little shadow in. You want to define that edge up a bit more there. So I'm building the rose, and you'll see this you'll see some of these types of flowers start to appear in the Banks roses here and the lesson, and then more so later on. But so I'm drawing it now. What I start to mean is once I have these petals here, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump out to the outside here, and I'm going to start putting on, and I'll just edge my brush here like this color, base color of the rose, and edge my brush, and I'll start putting on the larger outside petals, which sets the motion or the direction for the flower. So I'm just picking up that edge and drawing that around. We'll let that get a little more transparent as it comes out here on this side. And what I'm going to do is just wipe off the extra of my brush and just now come in and just wiggle this a little bit and set the motion for this petal. And like I said before in the first video with blossom and stuff, we're doing that. If you get a little bit of that shadow out there, just wipe your brush and you can restate it again. But it won't happen quite as much on this one because I've already set up the motion of the rose, the movement of the rose. Come back in, pick up a little more color, define the petal a little more that you want to bring into the front. I want this one up a little bit more. Maybe I'm going to lighten this area right up here a bit more. So I strike that, wipe my brush, and I can incorporate it just by wiggling it. I could use my finger to incorporate it, but I get a little bit of movement there to it. That's the most important part. We'll come over and maybe bring this one in a bit more here. Pull that in. You don't forget to strike it again and again, and constantly take a little bit more of your warm color. Because what you're doing is you're slowly lightening the petal up here, coming into this way. Okay. Now, so what I've done is I've set my motion of my real big petals out here. Here's some of my big petals, my motion of my big petals. Okay. And then I've got the big bowl petals here. Now what I'm going to do is start to weave the petals in and start adding the next one in. So, for example here, I want to put in the next petal. I don't have to go in there and paint anything really kind of spectacular. Just take a little warm color here and just edge it into a little bit of white like that. Okay? And you can just take that and draw the next petal right into the inside just like this. Widen that color out. Take a little bit of that lighter color and you can widen that color out just a bit here like that and pull that in, and all of a sudden you start to draw another petal in there. Maybe go a little more white here right there like that, so it'll help pink it up a bit, and all of a sudden that next petal is inside there. So once you have the big ones on, then what you do is you start to fill up. Maybe I want to have another little one right in here like this. And let's just drag this one right up a little higher and around and let it fade off. Then I just wipe my brush, wipe your brush, pinch your brush off like this. And you can incorporate it with a couple strokes or just a couple little touches like that, and you have another petal. It's not hard. Okay, don't paint too much because your movement's already there. You just need that light little edge with this soft fusion brush to say, you know, here's the edge of it. Okay, let's come back in and let's just take a little edge of our light. Let's say sometimes I'll reach out beyond the bowl here. So let's just put a petal in here reaching out beyond the bowl here so I don't have round. Okay, so you see me reach out beyond the bowl. Now I'm just going to pick up a little more light and I'm going to incorporate it down to the bowl. Here, just pull down to the bowl like this. And let it, you know it's got to feed right down in there to the bowl, but you can see that petal right there like that. And it hides that round shape of the bowl. I've kind of weaved it right in and it's got to come right down into here. Okay, I can increase or put another one right down in here like this so that it covers that a bit. Now, so I cross it like this. I get that nice strike, a lot of white, right across the front like that. Wipe your brush and then incorporate it down just lightly. And wipe your brush if you're softening it. Wipe your brush and sometimes pull the shadow back out this way to incorporate that up. So sometimes I do it shadow, sometimes I do it by pushing my finger back and forth a little bit to incorporate that petal in there like that. And you can put up some more white and redraw it if you need to a couple times here. That's pretty good. Push up until you get to the right feel. Just incorporate it a little bit. Use the softness of the brush and a very light touch to just incorporate that. And I'm going to restate a little red shadow down at the bottom here. Just like that. Boom, boom. Touch your brush, wipe your brush. See, I wipe my brush because I picked up the light. So I wipe my brush and I'll pick up some dark and restate the dark right back in there too. Be deliberate, okay? That's one thing I say. When you're coming in and you're taking it from this casual and you're coming in here and doing something specific, be deliberate with the movement of your brush. In other words, don't just sit there and go boom, 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 take the strokes. Every stroke counts. Every stroke counts. So be deliberate with your movement. Now I'll tap into a little light and bring that light right into here, touch it, and then I'll be very deliberate here, boom, and very deliberate here, boom. And all of a sudden I've incorporated that whole petal. Don't go in there and work. Look to see how many strokes you can get into that area very, very efficiently. Sargent always said about an alla prima painter, you try to capture the area with as few strokes as possible. Okay, so that's what I do. I try to stroke as few strokes as possible to state something, to make, the impression of something. That's what you want to do. Okay, so we'll grab that into there like that. Now maybe I want to add another petal right in here. Very easy to add. Just take my white, just put it on the edge of this soft little fusion brush, and it'll do the rest of it for you. See how that just drops it in? Wipe your brush. Now be deliberate. Just grab it and just pull it down just a bit. And now you have another petal sitting there just like that. Let's go grab one right over here like this on this side. Let's just coming around the corner here. Grab that. Boy, that looks kind of nice just like that. I like that little shine out there. I'm not going to add any more to that. I'm going to come over here to the shadow color and add just a little light edge right there. Don't blend it. Just pick up a little light edge. Let's just draw a little light edge right out here like that. Maybe pull it beyond the bowl just a bit. Now be deliberate. Wipe your brush. Maybe even pick up a little shadow with that. Come right up here by the side and incorporate that down. Wipe your brush and incorporate that down because your movement's already there. And incorporate that, and you already have this petal. Now I might want to warm it, slide up here to the warm with a little lighter color right in here. So we'll warm that right up in this area here. Bit more. Boom. Now wipe your brush. Be deliberate. Let's even just put some warm color in my brush. Model some warm color in. And just pull down, wipe your brush. Pull down. If you get too much of a streak, lift off, and like that, lift from the shadow up. So you can lift off as well to get that look in there. And you'll start to weave these petals. So you start with the big ones, and then what you do is start working the petals in and out. Let's say I want to make another little angled one here. Since I'm on the cool side, I slide right down here to the cool side. Okay? And I pick up that little edge, right like that. And I'll draw that little petal out there like that. Okay? Be deliberate with it. Wipe that. Let's put a little bit of the cool color in like that. And let's just touch right into that area there. And push that in just like that. Added a little petal. I'm going to warm the edge right here. Boom. I like to have that. Sometimes I like that temperature difference right there. So I'll put that in there like that. And just touch. And I'm going to restrike this one here. Put that right up on top of that one there. So start with your petals. You can add petals when you're weaving petals like this. You can add them anywhere in your painting. The petals can come anywhere, anytime, any angle, anywhere in the painting. You can, but you don't go 1, 2, 3 and work out that way. You can add petals anywhere on these roses at any time. They're really fun to paint and just start to figure out how am I going to get that nice little petal down in there. How do I attack it to get that in there? And then you can come back and add a little more light. We'll come right up in here and add a little more light here. Boom, just like that. And weave that in. Okay, now where this is collapsed into that shadow, I can, with this soft little brush, I can just take some of my shadow color right back into there, just like that. Touch that in, okay? Wipe your brush, and if I touch again right here, like say, I'll incorporate the two. You be deliberate with your strokes. Don't just sit down going too much. Be a little bit deliberate. As you're weaving these together, be deliberate, okay? Be deliberate. And figure it out. Work them together and figure it out. And then, so now I got that nice little shadow sitting up underneath there where I wanted that to happen. And then, like I showed you in the other lessons, what you can do is take a little bit of your darker green colors as you come in here like this, and you can come in and negative paint in to the edges like this, and come in and pop in those edges and put in the edges exactly what you want. The negative painting comes in and you can shape up your flower any way you want. You can draw a little bit of that green color out into this one, like right out to here. Cause this to fade away here. And give this nice, light, more transparent edge. Back up over to this side as this rose comes back over here. And give it its nice contrast. It comes here and paints the petals in as it goes around that way. Okay, so when you weave petals together, okay, what you do when you're weaving your flower is you set the shape of your flower, you build the flower, like think of an apple, build the shape of the flower, go out, put your, like one side of the petals on the other side, like the top of the bowl and the outside reaching petals. Then Sometimes I'll divide it right in half and then start to weave the next one in and the next one in. And it works perfect with this little number 4 because it's a small little brush. You just pick up that little edge and you just drop it right in there. Okay, wipe your brush and then incorporate it with 1 or 2 more little strokes very deliberately. So when you're weaving it, you're very deliberate. When you're first putting them on, you can wiggle around as much as you want. But when you're starting to weave them, be a little more deliberate. And they're a lot of fun. Good luck. Paint 1,000 of them, okay? And then you'll start to understand it. It only comes through repetition. Not practice 1 flower, paint 100 flowers, okay? And always let us know if you have any kinds of problems and stuff like that, because you can write to us, and at the address in the book and everything. So if you have any kind of problems, we're always there. Enjoy the rest of the lessons, and I hope that you paint it, okay? And I'll see you here next time at Jansen Art Studio and Paint It Simply. Have a good painting day. Bye-bye.